There's a new Alex Cross series coming to Amazon Prime. Let's talk about it.
Detective Alex Cross.
You're now watching The Captain.
So I was blessed with getting the opportunity to go watch the first episode of the new Alex Cross series that's coming to Amazon Prime November 14th. It was a cool screening. Aldous Hodge himself was able to attend, answer some questions from people in the crowd. It was a good time. Even got a little complimentary poster. Hi. I just kind of wanted to talk about the series a little bit and what I can kind of gather from the first episode. So this will be a non-spoiler review. I'll probably give like some characters that I'm looking at and maybe it's a little bit of story beats, but for the most part, I'll keep things spoiler free. First and foremost, I want to say that this series is a interesting one. I watched the first movie that starred Morgan Freeman and I enjoyed that movie, but I was never really keen on the James Patterson books, especially the Alex Cross series. I thought the character was interesting, but it never really caught my eye. This series though seems to be relatively interesting, and I want to give a lot of props to Aldous Hodge for his amazing acting in this. If I didn't get anything else from watching this first episode, I saw how great of an actor he was and how much I really would have loved for him to be John Stewart in the new DC universe, but I digress. I'm sure Aaron Pierre would be great. This show is essentially a cop drama, think kind of like Criminal Minds, but it's more based around one character and has a storyline that's based around this character's past and where he is now and things of that nature. So you're going to see murders that he's going to go solve, and he's also, the character of Alex Cross is also a psychologist also, so he's able to kind of know people and break down people's minds. There's literally, the show starts with like some kind of interrogation scene like you would expect that kind of establishes him, and he does a great job in this. Because I want to keep some form of integrity, I'm not going to make it seem like I want to say nothing but positive things about the show because I got to go see it early. I will say there are a lot of things in this series that so far, at least in the first episode, that made me look at it kind of sideways. First and foremost, it was very heavy-handed in a lot of the themes that it was trying to get across. Big theme and kind of a subplot here was the idea of the police brutality and how black cops are evil and black cops aren't doing their due diligence with serving their community because you're kind of inherently going against it by being a cop in general. They're really heavy-handed in this. There were a lot of different moments where characters would go into monologues or kind of give their dialogue and diatribes on why they hate cops and why they feel like Alex Cross's character is somewhat of a traitor. But then it was also kind of interesting because they also talked about in the series so far that he's a celebrity in his community as well. So they didn't really make that feel felt, but I digress. But the fact that they like gave me so many scenes like trying to push this home in a very heavy-handed way was kind of like to me. It kind of threw me out of it in certain instances. There's also this big subplot around a murderer, like a serial killer that's going around. This is probably the most interesting aspect to me of the series, but I feel like they gave away who it is incredibly soon. Like you find out who the serial killer is in the first episode, and it's going to be this, I guess, kind of Batman Joker kind of dynamic where Alex Cross is teeing off against this guy throughout most of the series. And again, it seems like it can be made very well, but it's kind of giving me vibes of like Black Lightning, a lot of the CW stuff where you have this over the top murdering like evil character and the hero is just opposing him the entire season. But in this instance, it's kind of weird because he's a serial killer and they built up the first episode to kind of have a lot of mystery around who this killer was. And for you to kind of just give me who the killer was by the end of the first episode, and this is the whole season, I feel like it took away a lot of the spark that the show could have had there. Because I would have preferred it to be like a murder mystery where we kind of uncover who this is throughout the show. And also they have this whole like additional subplot that makes it feel a little like it doesn't have room to breathe in this story. There's a murderer who killed Alex Cross's wife. That, again, like it isn't a big spoiler because you find this out in like the first 15 seconds of the show, like the first minute, 2 minutes. I'm not spoiling a lot of stuff with this, but they have this whole subplot where whoever killed his wife is stalking him like a year later and doing all these weird things. So it's kind of awkward to me and felt like it was kind of tight to kind of squeeze in an entirely other murderer here. On top of having another serial killer that's also additionally in the show. And I don't know, man, like even then he felt kind of sloppy in different instances of the show. All in all, I mean, I want to say that the show is great. The show is okay. It's okay. I'm not saying it's terrible. I think it has a lot of foundational things it can build on throughout the rest of the season. I would love to see more of the mystery aspect. I think we're kind of diving really hard into this, like the sociological aspect and the Black community aspect of it. Although those are great. I love shows and movies that can dive into that stuff. But when you have the premise of the show being a detective who is solving murders, having such a heavy subplot on the culture of the Black communities and how they view cops, it's kind of like, it feels like it's out of place. It feels like it's just kind of forced in there, when you can have that kind of be thrown in subtly and maybe happening in the background, but focus on the serial killer and the murders. And when in saying that, I kind of thought about this in the theater, because I was it was a great environment, because I watched this with a lot of other Black people. I think it was all Black people that were in this theater with me, and a lot of them were the demographic tend to be older Black people. And what I noticed is that it was kind of like catnip for that audience, like that demographic of like the mid 30s to like the early 60s, that demographic of Black people. This is who a lot of the extra stuff is for. It felt like the serious mystery and murder stuff that was in here, and like the mystery was for the average person, but they threw in so many pieces of extra Black culture catnip for Black people in this. Like literally, like the opening scene that they showed, I don't know if this will be in the final cut for the first episode, but in the version I saw, there was like an entire like 2 to 3 minute stint of them going around the city of DC and showing different Black people like looking directly into the camera like it's a music video, and having different pieces of music played throughout it as you're flashing throughout it, like just kind of showing the Black culture there, which again is amazing if that's the foundation you're setting here. But me seeing all this stuff and then going directly into like a murder mystery story with not one but 2 serial killers, it felt like it was out of place. It felt like it didn't mesh together really cleanly for me. And I would really love to see more of that. But again, all in all, this is not a bad show to me. Like, I think it's pretty mediocre. I'm not gonna say mediocre, but it's pretty mid. I'm gonna say that it's pretty mid from what I saw from the first episode. I'm hoping and praying that it picks up a lot more, because I do think Aldis Hodge did an amazing job in this role. And I think some of the writing for it could be a little bit tighter, and it can really maximize how great he is as an actor. And I think he's showing that in this role. But there's a lot of writing aspects that I think could be a little bit tighter and not as convoluted. And I would love for them to just focus on the murder and the mystery. Focus on murder and mystery. Don't pander, because it felt like they were pandering a lot to Black people to make this like it's like Power or something like that. That's what it felt like almost. It felt like they were trying to make this series a like Power-esque thing that Black people religiously watch no matter what. Those are my genuine first thoughts on it. I probably got to sit with this episode a little bit more, and I'm gonna watch more of it obviously when it comes out on the 14th of next month. But yeah, all in all, I thought the show was cool. If I had to give it a rating, it'd probably be a 6 out of 10 for the first episode. I want to reiterate, this is the first episode. I'm not giving a total season review because it's not out yet. I was only able to see the first episode. But I'm hoping this picks up more, and I'm excited to see what they do throughout this first season, because I believe it's been picked up for a season 2 already. So it's going to be here for a little bit. So I hope that this momentum picks up and the best part of this shine more going forward. That's been my thoughts on it. This has been Captain Diesel, Captain Diesel's Dojo. If you have seen it or able to see it early screen, let me know what your thoughts were. And let me know if you guys are excited about this show in the comments below. Again, this has been Captain Diesel, Captain Diesel's Dojo, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.